Hey there, folks. It's been a while since I've done an intermission, and with everything I've got going on in the background with regards to the project, the series, and the channel, I felt now was a really fitting time to do another one. So, for most of you, I've been doing this ongoing series for the last all but year and a half now of making or trying to make a survival game in Unreal Engine using C++. And in that last year, and I'm just going to say year and a half, I have learned a ton, and it has been awesome to see the growth I've made just in my understanding of Unreal, how things work, because Unreal Engine, the way it uses C++ is slightly different to what I've used C++ for. And then factor in that I work with legacy, like I'm talking 20-year-old code. It's a big difference for me. So I have learned a ton, and I've grown a lot myself on that. But one of the other things I found is even more impressive is the growth of the channel. I'm a little over a year and a half old. I'm already over 2,000 subscribers. I have members. I have Patreons. I've had numerous people make one-off donations. And it has been a huge, I'm trying to think how to describe it, but positive influence on me to want to continue to grow and improve myself so I can help you guys learn and grow as part of it as well. Now, one of the things I have noticed, it's been actually fairly common feedback I've received, is when you have this big major mega series, for lack of a better description, that's currently sitting at 162 episodes at the time of recording this, I believe. Doesn't matter. 160 plus episodes. And especially with how I started off the series somewhat all over the place with topics, it can be a little hard and a little intimidating for a new person to jump in, follow along, if that makes sense. Because I've got this big mammoth series, and say somebody's just looking for an inventory system. Well, the way it's done, it's sort of tied into my game, and it's going to be a little difficult to separate that if you don't understand C++ pretty well. So with that in mind, there is some changes I want to make to the way I'm recording. Instead of this huge huge monolithic, and for anyone who's familiar with programming, they'll understand what I mean by that. Anyways, but monolithic series, I want to change to doing more, well, not more, but change to doing single topic mini series, for lack of a better term. And let me explain. So each one of these mini-series, excuse me, I can't talk. Each one of these mini-series is going to be focusing on a component or a feature of the main game I want to make. Things like the AI system or crafting mechanics, world generation, player movement, things like that. And it's going to be more in-depth on that single topic. And then that way, it's going to be easier for a new person to find the channel, find a topic they're interested in, and hopefully subscribe. And then, again, for this series, or this change, I should say, once I've completed the mini-series, I'm going to do a dedicated integration episode, or episodes if needed, showing how that particular feature is going to connect back into the main survival game. So nothing's going to be dropped. It's still going to be focused around this core survival game that I want to make. but I'm going to be doing it in a way that is hopefully going to be more new subscriber, new viewer friendly. Because ultimately, as with everyone who starts a YouTube channel, I would love to grow the channel to a point where it could be my primary focus in life. But I understand that is not something that's going to happen overnight. Now, there's another reason for the upcoming changes to the channel, and I'll go into those in a little more detail in a minute, but I want to go over this other reason because I think it's very relevant and important for me to do so just with the nature of the channel. Now, one of the big things I've tried to do with this channel is to show all the trials and tribulations that happen with being a developer. The struggles you have, the debugging, the Googling to find the answer to certain things. And one of the things I've mentioned is you need to start your project off with a solid foundation before you start adding all the fancy bells and whistles and all that stuff. And just recently, having redone the equipment system, and I'll say the lackluster results that came out of that, and some of the comments I've received, because I realize there's a lot of problems with that system still. I've noticed that the project as a whole does not have that stable foundation that I really need and want for the project. The code itself has become very, I'll say, cyclical, circular. There's a lot of dependencies that are in places, and there's a lot of things I'm not happy with what I've done in the project. Now, I know this sounds like what I said right at the start of the series where, I'm not happy, I'm going to restart. And I'll be honest, yes, I do intend to restart the series. But the reason being isn't because I think everything in the project is bad. I think I was too focused on recording episodes and trying to get content out instead of trying to make sure at least in the last little while, instead of making sure the code and work I was doing was good code. And as a result, I've got a fairly, I don't want to say broken, but I have a very bug-prone project. And what I mean by that is the way I've done the coding and the way I've built the systems, the codependencies on everything that I've got, there is going to be many, many situations, like specifically with the last couple of episodes around equipping a weapon, that I'll make a change and it's going to break something else. And it's going to break this and it's going to break that. And I don't want that to be my code base as I move forward with the series, because I was getting very close to, I don't want to say alpha or early access or anything like that. I was getting very close to what I would call version 0, the tech demo. And that code base just is not as stable as I want it to be. Now, as part of the restart, or part of the reason for wanting to do the restart, I have also been doing a lot of thinking in the background. And there is a couple of additions I want to make that ultimately are fairly substantial in terms of the project as a whole. Now, I don't want to go into exactly what those changes are yet. They're going to be something that I cover in the new format. But they are what I would call foundational changes that really don't fit with the way I've been moving things forward. Now, at the same time, I want to try and reassure people here. I'm not moving away from a survival game. I do want to keep making a survival game. That much is a given. What I want to do, though, with the way I'm going to be changing things is taking advantage of the Unreal Engine. And I preface with Unreal Engine because these are different compared to C++ versions, but the Unreal Engine modules. And for anyone who's not sure what a module is, it's basically a plugin in simple terms, but it's code instead of like a plugin within the editor sort of thing. Anyone who's familiar with programming, it's basically an independent DLL. I actually think that might even be how it builds out. I'm not sure. I haven't looked that far into it yet. But anyways, I want to readjust my approach on how I'm writing the code. And that's how these mini-series are going to be. Basically, it's going to be creating a module for the main game. And those modules are compartmentalized, and as long as you don't change any code within the module, they don't need to be recompiled. There's no additional build time. So it's really helpful when you start getting to these rather large projects. Like I'm currently, it may not see it, but with my system sitting on like 10 to 15 minute build times. So that's something else. Using modules is going to help with that. And then one of the other things that has been sort of pushing me towards wanting to do this restart is Unreal Engine version 5.6. It was such a massive change in how the templates are formatted and laid out at a code level from version 5.5 and earlier that I get a lot of questions about, well, this is different, how do I do this? And no, I'm not complaining about those. I 100% understand why those questions are being asked. So I'm also, like I said, wanting to redo this because of those changes in how the engine templates work. Because anyone new to Unreal Engine, they're going to be wanting to use the latest and greatest. 5.7, from what I've looked at, they haven't drastically changed those templates. So I'm not too worried about that. So don't worry, it's not going to be something where every new version I start a new series. It's not going to be the case. And that's actually also something else with the way the modules work is as long as I'm happy with a module, I could restart the series 1,000 times over and just move the modules over. Now, I'm not going to do that. That's a very extreme example, but I just wanted to explain, and we'll use that to explain how modules work. But anyways, before I keep prattling on about my reasonings, I've explained myself. Hopefully everyone understands. I do want to take this moment, though, to extend a huge a thank you to everyone who's been supporting me for the last year and a half through channel memberships, Patreon, one-off donations on Ko-fi. It really means a lot to me, and that's why I've been so reluctant to make this decision. I didn't want to come across like I was abandoning all of that support in the interest of trying to make a quick buck or something like that, because that's not the case. I came to this decision just simply because, like I said, the series as it stands right now is not really easily approachable to a new person. It's great for a lot of people who have been following along since the start. The code level, or at a code level, it's a very rocky foundation. And if I keep moving forward the way it is right now, I'm going to end up spending more and more time fixing bugs, which I would do on camera, than I would be actually moving development of the game forward. So like I said, there's two reasons for these changes. First is keeping things sustainable. Things are too disorganized and too broken that I just wouldn't be able to keep working on the project and moving it forward productively. And then the second reason being new viewers, new channel subscribers, things like that. I want new people to feel like they can come in, watch an episode of, like the first episode of the inventory series, go, okay, this little mini series of 3 or 4 episodes focuses on making an inventory. I can take that, I can use it in my game, which could be, I don't know. I can't think of any other games right now off the top of my head. I'm a little like scatterbrained because trying to put all of this into words is a little difficult for me. And one thing I've noticed, and it's just been the last little while, my rate of new subscribers has dropped. And I fully understand why. Because looking back at probably the last, 10 episodes, my enthusiasm and quality of work has dropped. And I know exactly why. Like I've been toying with this issue of the fact I've been really needing to restart the series for probably at least the last 10 episodes, if not a little longer than that. And I noticed it was starting to come across in my work. I wasn't as enthusiastic. I wasn't as committed to the work as I wanted to be. And I noticed that was coming across in my videos. It was very obvious. So instead of continuing to push out content that was just going to get worse and worse, I noticed that specifically with the UI episode that came out just before this. I was pushing content for the sake of getting content out, not for the sake of being educational or informative. I don't want to say educational because I'm not a teacher, but informative. And that was ultimately like that. That was the final straw for me. When I noticed the quality of the last episode and how poor it was compared to some of the earlier ones, it made me realize I needed to stop, reevaluate things, and figure out what I needed to do. And ultimately, that is, as I've said, the decision to restart the project and also change how I am approaching recording for the channel. Now, on a positive side, one of the big things that I'm really excited about, actually, and I realize my tone has been fairly melancholic for this initial, and I do actually genuinely mean I'm happy about this. And I'm excited for it. I'm just tired, so it doesn't really come across. But one of the big things, and I'm really excited for, is this is going to give me a bit more freedom to experiment and explore subscriber requests and things like that, and potentially add them into the game or not. I know it's something that's came up as a question on Discord, but for example, ragdoll physics. I personally have no interest in the project currently, though with the new changes I'm making, I'm thinking maybe. But ragdoll physics would be something like, say, hey, okay, I've had a lot of requests, do ragdoll physics. I could do a short mini series on ragdoll physics and have a module that I could add in if I decide to offer ragdoll physics, things like that, or a weather system or things like that. And these modules, again, as I've mentioned, they are basically drop-in code solutions, for lack of a better description. Again, I'll use ragdoll physics as an example. So I create my first game. I have this ragdoll physics module I like. I love how it works. It does everything I need it to. I want to create a new game. I want that game to have ragdoll physics. I can literally grab the module's code and folder structure, copy it over to the new game, and it will do the exact same thing, assuming the same engine version, no code engine related code changes. But that's one of the big things that I'm actually pretty excited for, is the way I'm going to be able to do that, because it's going to offer me, as I mentioned, the ability to say take a break from my primary personal project, which is what this is all about, my personal project, and explore user requests or viewer requests sort of thing. And from that, I may add new content to my game, I may not. Now, as I said, I do plan on restarting the series, but what does this mean for the future of the channel in the short term? Well, what it means is there is probably going to be a week, maybe 2, before the next episode comes out, which will be the first episode in the reboot of the series. And the reason being for that is I just need to find time to, I don't want to say clear my head, because that's not the case. I'm actually really, having made the decision, I'm very happy and excited with moving forward with this again. But it's just to find time, because like I said, I want to try and up the production quality, because again, that's been falling behind. I've been rushing. So I'm going to take more time between episodes. I'm hoping I can keep to once a week. It may be once every 2 weeks, depending on how long it takes. I am still going to use the same format and style I've been using. I'm not going to be doing things off camera. It's not going to be any pre-prepared, that's a tongue twister, code that I'm just, oh yeah, do this. It's going to be the same thing I've already done of, okay, let's try this. Does it work? Does it not? Now, obviously, there's going to be quite a bit of code that I can just reuse. And effectively, that's going to be what I do. But short term, like I said, I'm going to probably have a bit of a break between now and the next episode, just so that I can get something recorded that's going to be up to the standard. I'm hoping I can do every week, maybe every 2 weeks right now. If my personal life outside of YouTube changes and I can do more, great. I'm going to leave all of the content that's up there. Oh, right now, I'm going to leave it. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not hiding it. I'm not going to be embarrassed by it. It's going to be my legacy series. I want to leave it there just because I don't want to try and hide my mistakes. Again, that's something I've tried to do with all of my content, is to show the nitty gritty of programming. And this is one of those situations where it's one of the, I don't want to say darker sides, but one of the more unhappy sides of programming is sometimes you reach a point with a product or project, depending how you're looking or what work you're doing, that you've made such a mess foundationally that you need to start over. It is not it's not a wise investment to continue. Now, you do learn a lot from that, and you get faster with each iteration. So that's something else. But again, I'm starting to prattle on here because I'm my brain's going a mile a minute. But so I do plan on having put a timestamp at the start of this video to say, hey, jump to here for the short form. So for anyone coming back, thank you for at least skipping through to this point. So the short of it is I'm going to be rebooting the series. I'm going to be changing to doing shorter, focused mini-series that cover a specific topic or feature. And then once those mini-series are, well, that mini-series in particular is wrapped up, I will do an integration episode on tying it back into the main project, and then move on to the next mini-series. As part of that, I will be hopefully able to accommodate some viewer requests as to topics. That's not a guarantee. It depends on how my workload gets. And ultimately, I believe this approach is going to make things overall better for the channel. Things are going to be easier to follow. It's going to make development of the game easier. And overall, hopefully, it's going to improve channel growth. So, again, I want to give a huge thanks to all my supporters. The last year and a half of your support has been amazing. The one-off donations on Ko-fi, the channel memberships, the Patreon memberships, it means a huge amount to me, and it is what is keeping me going with the channel, because I could quite easily have just stopped recording and done all of this in the background. But it is you guys who have kept me wanting to record, and ultimately it is you guys that have made me want to do this reboot, because I realized I wasn't providing you quality content anymore. So, as always though, folks, thank you for watching. If you do have any comments, concerns, questions, suggestions, any feedback about this intermission episode, the changes I'm planning on making, please feel free to either drop them in the comments below, or more ideally for me at least, hop over on the Discord, bring them up there. I don't care if it's a good thing, bad thing, like you want to flame me because I'm making a change, or you want to come over and say, hey, try doing this maybe. I'm open to everything. I'm not going to object. So, as long as you're respectful, that's all that matters. So, as always, folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.